And like even with my kids and like exploring gender, and I let them know every day, like I support you if you are straight. Like I will love you anyway. However and so ever. If you decide, hey mommy, I'm a drag queen. Like, hey mommy, I'm a drag king. Like, I won't love you necessarily more, but you know what I'm
A little
saying?
cooler. you know.
This is Shana.
And Kris.
And we are Bad Queers. If you came out of the closet and got put in a box you don't belong to, then welcome to the Bad Queers Club. Why
It's
are you
okay to
giggling?
laugh. It's okay to
Why
laugh
are you
because we're going to
giggling?
be
You are
laughing
giggling.
this entire
You giggled.
episode.
But you giggled.
This
That's
whole
why I
episode,
giggled.
we just laughed. So it's only right that we start the episode off with laughs. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
this
I
week in
cried.
Queer Urban Dictionary, I have urge to merge. Urge to merge, which is a phrase that typically refers to lesbians. It references people who start doing everything together and might become
Hmm.
very similar people.
Hmm.
Yeah, the source for this is Every Queer. So, urge to merge.
Urge to merge. I was like,
Mm.
slippery slope from U-hauling. Honestly, the urge to
Mhm.
merge is the gateway before
It's a
U-haul.
gateway. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's your sentence for you. Got it. We got it. Here we go. My queer urban dictionary word of the week is an acronym. It is TGNBI plus. This acronym stands for transgender, non-binary, and intersex. The plus signifies the inclusion of a wide range of gender identities and expressions that go beyond the binary of male and female. This includes identities like genderqueer, gender fluid, and agender. My sentence is the TGNBI plus community is under attack through anti-trans policies. Stay alert, stay informed, get active. Because when our community is under attack, just because it may not directly impact you, it's going to. All right, Kris mentioned that we were laughing the whole time this episode, and it's because of this person that I am about to introduce right here. So I am going to introduce Jenn M. Jackson, PhD, uses they, them pronouns, is a queer, androgynous Black woman, an abolitionist, a lover of all Black people, and an assistant professor at Syracuse University in the Department of Political Science. Jackson's research is in Black politics with a focus on Black feminist movements, racial threat and trauma, gender and sexuality, policing, and political behavior. They are the author of Black Women Taught Us from Penguin Random House and Policing Blackness, University of Chicago Press, expected in 2025. Jackson has written peer-reviewed articles at Public Culture, Politics, Groups, and Identities, Social Science Quarterly, and the Journal of Women, Politics, and Policy. Jackson received their doctoral degree from the Department of Political Science at the University of Chicago in 2019, where they also received a graduate certificate in gender and sexuality studies. Jackson teaches courses on gender and politics, Black feminism, Black politics, and the politics of racial threat.
All right. We've got company today and we are very, very excited. We had to hit record because we're like, listen, we're going to talk before even recording. But Jenn, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on Bad Queers.
Hey, I'm officially a bad queer. Hello.
Are
In the
officially a Bad
club,
Queer.
fully in the club, VIP status. Welcome.
Yeah, before we get into your background, because we follow and lurk and are just fans of you, you posted like a month ago that you were trying to be hella Sapphic this year,
Mm-hmm.
drenched in it, to be honest.
Mm. That
We just
was a
wanted to
direct quote.
check in. It was
Mm-hmm.
direct quote. We just wanted to check in and see how it's going because we care.
The truth, it's not going well, y'all.
Oh,
People are scared of me. I'm told I'm intimidating, um, which is weird because I'm goofy and I'm so approachable and I'm nerdy, but I think it's because I'm 6'4" and I got a big booty. But I'm trying to tell people to look
sometimes we'll
past
do it.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to look past it. But it's not, I'm working at it. It's a work in progress. Let's say
Mm.
that. It's positive. Reframe it.
You're also very intelligent. And I think in this era that is just like, whoo, there's a lot of people that
It's not just booty. It's
Like, because we
it's
can't look
it's
past
those
that.
things.
I just need
But
that to
and I
also be known.
yeah,
And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna put intelligence honestly at 3 there, but I was like, that's 3 things working against you. It's like, you know,
Valid.
and we're
Valid.
living in the, consequences of the children left behind. So,
Yeah. A
yeah,
lot of left behind ones. And that's a different podcast, but
that
yeah,
is
I have
definitely
thought
a different one.
as
Okay.
well.
So why do you think it's good? Is it where you're at right now? And it's also not summer yet and not
Yeah.
technically spring. I think it's this weekend, but
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm polyamorous. I'm not I'm like old school for real polyamorous, not the new age I got a
yeah.
man, he lets me date on the side, whatever that is polyamorous. I actually have never been monogamous, and so I understand loving Black people as an expansive thing, an active thing that we do. And so for me, I've always kind of had like at least two relationships. Um, and I realized last year that I was really moving in those relationships in ways that didn't fully honor myself, didn't honor me and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world. I was shrinking a lot to be in those relationships. And when I started getting healthier boundaries, I realized that some people started kind of disappearing. I at first I was kind of sad, but now I'm like geeked about it because my life is so great and I'm so happy and like everything is better. So I'm excited for what it looks like going forward as I've done this work to really get in alignment with how I show up and how I relate to others. Because I think that by being alone for the last year and a half or so, not dating, it's allowed me to really understand who it is I want to spend that time with in the future and what that's going to feel like because I've been treating myself better. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. What
Absolutely.
what happens when you realize that you're shrinking in a relationship? What does that look like for you? Like shrinking in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us who have had traumatic relationships, for example, with parents or other types of close relationships, we learn how to not express ourselves fully or authentically for fear that people will leave, right?
Hmm.
For a lot of queer folks in particular, right, and gender expansive folks, we're really good at it. That's why they call it a closet, right? And what's funny is like a lot of my friends and family growing up would say like, yeah, you were in a closet, but it was a clear closet. We could see right through the closet. We knew you were in there, but I didn't know that they knew, right? And so it created this really like strange situation where I often felt the need to perform heteronormativity or perform along a gender binary or act in certain ways that were in alignment with what I thought they expected. But when you do that for so long, sometimes you forget to listen to yourself or even what you sound like or what feels natural, right? And so a lot of what I've had to do over the last few years in these relationships is look at like, where do I feel myself doing all this labor, right? To show up in ways that I think someone expects, right? What are these points where I feel myself not saying a thing or ignoring something that usually for me would be like a red flag or a yellow flag. But I'm trying to keep this relationship because I'm afraid that if I show up, it'll make them go away, right? So I'm learning that that's what my shrinking has typically looked like. And I'm just not willing to do that anymore, right? It's like the real ones who get it, they stick around. This is why I got, five best friends who have been rocking with me, who love me, who are my siblings, right? And this is complicated, so I'm just gonna let y'all know, I have a platonic spouse, right? Who I've been married to for now almost 2 decades, who is my best friend, who is my co-parent, and who rocks with me, right? And I've never had to shrink or be someone else to receive that kind of care and affection. So I can't be doing that in romantic relationships, right? Like that doesn't make sense. If I already have all these beautiful, loving connections to other people who have already shown me that they are down for me, whatever, like, why would I keep having these romantic situations where I'm like, okay, please, 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 right? Like, who wants to beg for that?
Yeah.
I'm not that girl anymore.
Yeah. As you reflect on those relationships, do you see the why or do you understand the why for what got you to stick around in those relationships?
My mama, she Aquarius, y'all. My mama's an Aquarius.
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry, friend.
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry.
I know,
I'm
it's like
sorry.
Shana.
I know you're an Aquarius,
Oh no. What have my people done?
but let's talk about it. Like, unhealed Aquarius energy is ouch, right? That don't feel very good.
I mean, we talk about me with my dad, who's also an Aquarius. So then,
Mm,
we can do that. We can do that. Yes, and
right?
um,
There's a coldness and like a certain kind of like ability to compartmentalize that feels so isolating, especially for a child, a queer child who's trying to navigate womanhood and gender in this 6'4" tall body at 12, right? Like, mama, I need help. And mom is an Aquarius. Like, just go sit down, put some Neosporin, what you need, Vaseline,
come on, Neosport.
and like every type of solution that don't help with this
I
particular
don't have a
concern.
cut.
Right. It's the woman is different here.
Yeah,
So
doesn't
those
apply.
emotional wounds for me really festered a lot into my teens and my 20s. And it took me into my 30s to really sit and say, oh, I have a mother wound, right? The first woman
Mm,
who ever broke my heart was my mother, right? My mom who has deep traumatic histories of her own, right? I love her. I start my book off talking about her. Everything that I understand about Black feminism today comes from my mother, right? But that doesn't mean that she didn't also come with some of the bad. The good always comes with a little bit of the bad, right? And, I have some really tough lessons I had to learn in navigating my mother's trauma and not wanting to bring that with me into my children's childhoods, right? And so, I know that my shrinking in relation to my love, my deep and enduring love for Black women and wanting to build a life with a Black woman one day and marry a Black woman, I know that the hurt that I feel like I often have to endure in those relationships comes from the hurt that I endured with my mother, right? And feeling like the opposite of what Bell Hooks teaches us. Bell Hooks says that love can't come with abuse. But I didn't learn that until I was in my 30s, right? After I had already kind of been living through, y'all know these lesbian relationships, like they,
mm-hmm.
child, I have done all the versions, the U-Hauls, I've done everything, right? And so it's just a lot of lessons that as you get older, I think they really start to settle in and become this wisdom that you're able to now listen to yourself again and understand, oh, I need this for me. I'm listening to my gut. Like I feel things in my body now where I'm like, oh, that's what you feel like inner wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So it's a great time to be in, which is also that mourning and that grief of thinking about my past selves and how hard it was for me trying to navigate this, like I said, undying love for all these Black women when I really needed to mend my relationship with my mother. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Did learning about any of your mother's traumas and your parents' traumas like heal anything within you? I know I kind of experienced that in my 30s. I would say early 30s now because I'm over, but learning about how their lives were shaped healed something. It didn't like erase any of the experiences and things that I still have to work through, but I know that it was healing for me. So I was just curious, did like learning about those traumas like, you know, change anything for you?
It's complicated, right? So the full story here is, and this is going to be in a memoir one day, so y'all get the juicy details pretty soon.
Hey.
But it's complicated because I always knew about my mother's trauma because my mother is a narcissist. So the whole world, my mother is a perpetual victim. Everything that has happened in her life, she is the victim, even if it's a problem that she created on her own, right? And so growing up in a household where the parent is the perpetual victim means that you have to become the parent, right? And so what ended up happening for me is I felt this deep empathy for my mother. I felt this deep desire to protect her, to care for her, even from herself and her awful decisions, right? And even when she put me at risk as a child, I still made excuses for her because I did know her trauma. What ended up healing me was finally being able to articulate to her to say, here's how you hurt me, right? Like I had told her and told her and told her and told her, but it wasn't until I did the work with myself to understand, oh, I was in love with you. I loved you in a deep and unconditional way, an agape love. And I would have done anything for you, and you disposed of me. And that's what has shaped the last 2 decades of my working through my identity, my sexuality, my gender, my love life, right? My orientation to my friends, the way I let people abuse me in my career. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang, girl, like if you had been in therapy, you could have helped both of us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
I'm not gonna dwell, right? But I think I needed to reintegrate, right, in some ways with child me to
mhm,
understand what it was that her actions really did to me and how they changed how I felt about myself. And so when I was able to say, oh, I was in love with you, I wrote poems that are just called Love Me, like begging my mother to love me in the way that I loved her, right? And when you go back and you read this, it's like, oh, this is such a child that wants their mother's love. This is a mother hunger, right? And so when I was able to articulate, like, Mom, you were so concerned about those men or your reputation at church or whatever that you left your child, right? And that has shaped the rest of my life. And I think, there was a time my therapist would be like, you can't worry about if she gets it or not. That's not the concern. It's for you. It's for you. But listen, what healed me was when she finally got it, right? Like,
mhm.
it was
Yeah.
so embarrassing because even though I'm a Virgo and we're known for being like all stoic or whatever, I don't know that. I don't know a single stoic Virgo. This is a lie. This is a threadbare lie. Okay. But specifically me, all right.
Mhm.
I have a Pisces moon.
Oh,
Everything makes me, if I see a
wow.
puppy look at me a certain kind of way on the street, I'm going to cry. If I see a baby just existing in the wild, anyway. So
Thank you for the breakdown.
my
The
point
wind,
is,
the wind
I'm
blowing.
thinking about it now. I'm like, let me
I
stop.
know
Like,
you're like,
thank
wait
you
a
so
minute.
much for the breakdown, right?
Right.
Because the way you said Pisces moon, and I was like, oh no, and Kris reacted, and I was like, hopefully they break this down for
Yeah,
me. Thank you
no,
so
my
much.
wife is a Pisces and my son is a Virgo. So this is, and I'm a Libra. So this is doing some
That's a
balancing.
perfect household. Anyway, it's
Yeah, it's something. Jen, tell us about growing up in the Bay Area. Tell us about, yeah, growing up in the Bay. We talk about the Bay a lot on the show, and your queer awakening too.
yeah. So the Bay, I know everybody loves where they're from. But the Bay is special. There's something about being a black Southern nigga from California. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, I make greens and gumbo and cornbread the same way all my cousins do in Texas, and all of that came with my family in the Great Migration. And I think sometimes people be like, "Oh, what y'all be eating avocado?" And I'm like, "Y'all eat more avocado than me." I did not eat an avocado till I left California and moved to Chicago, Illinois. That's the first place I had an avocado. Was in,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? Black folk ain't eating no avocados in Oakland. We're not eating avocados in Oakland. Anyway, so growing up in the Bay for me was dope because I was an athlete. I was very masculine growing up. And so I talk about this gender and sexual awakening because it didn't actually happen. I'm still trying to have a coming out party. I'm going to have one. I don't know when. People
It's
say I
gonna be a
can't
good
have one,
time.
but yeah, it's soon, soon. I'm going to come out. But I never really got to because I was a masculine girl, right, with cornrows who clearly like girls from a very early age. And I think that when I started wearing Jordans to church, people was
Mhm.
like,
That'll do it.
Cynthia, that's my
That'll
mom name,
do it.
Cynthia, you know. Um,
Not
and
enough people
so
recognize that crossover of wearing Jordans to church and just being like, that's what it is.
that's what
That's
it
what
is.
we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it enough. That needs to be highlighted and amplified in our books of here's how you know.
The annals of lesbian history. And I tell
Okay.
you all the time, like it was obvious. I wore combat boots to sixth grade graduation with a skirt and
Mm,
stockings. Like these were things that I was already doing. And so the closet was clear. Like I said, the closet was clear.
Hmm.
So really it's funny because I never really had a gender or sexual awakening because I lived in Oakland and the Bay Area is hella gay, right? Berkeley's hella gay. I had
mhm.
an uncle in my family, my Uncle Donald, who is super poly. He's always had a man and at least two boyfriends. And he raises a family with his man in the household. And then he got his booze, and sometimes they move in, sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I was like, you figured it out, Uncle Donald. Right? As a kid, I was like, that's the one,
He's
right?
happy, Alan.
Okay.
Head in
Right.
his water.
And I had a lot of queer
Stress
people
free.
around me. It was normal. And so it wasn't until I left California where I was like, oh, like, oh, y'all don't be doing gay stuff. Like other people, I'm gonna tell y'all a story and you can't laugh at me, okay? This is what I want y'all to know.
Oh,
I
don't
did
set me up
not
for
realize
this.
I was gay until I was like 30, 30. Oof, y'all. I had to be almost 35 years old.
Jordan's in church. Okay, like
Don't.
Let me
just
tell you
life.
how I figured it out. I was sitting on the couch
I'm so ready for this.
with my platonic partner, my
Yes.
platonic spouse. And
Mhm.
I was watching Carmen Esposito, the comedian who was hella gay. And she was like, yeah, when I was a kid, me and my best friend was playing house. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, and she was like, yeah. My mom was like, it's okay for her to spend the night because that's my best friend. And I was like, yeah, I'm not understanding these air quotes. Platonic partner is looking like this. And I was like, what are you looking at? I was like, wait a minute. I said, Darren, hold on a minute. And I'm like clutching my pearls, right? I'm like, do other girls not play house with girls? He was like, I don't think so.
I
I
wish.
said, no way, right? So
Not
I
Darren
went
being
around
like, I heard,
all my
allegedly.
girlfriends, all my girlfriends, hey, did you play house when you was a kid? They was like, yeah. I said, who was the dad? They was like, oh, this boy. So I said, oh, it was a boy, right? And every time it was a boy. But when I played house, I was the I was the dad. And I was like, oh, bitch, I'm gay. I had my mouth on so many vaginas by that time, but it felt like everybody was doing that. I was like, what? It's
This is
vagina.
so Bay. This is so Oakland.
Everybody wants to do that. Who doesn't want? It's great.
Oh,
Universally, I thought this is a great thing to do.
Universal.
And they was like, nah, we don't. I said, you don't be touching titties though. They was like, nah. I was like, stop lying, because I've touched your titties. They was like, you touched mine. I was like, oh, you're right. It wasn't. I kid you not.
that might be the best coming out story Wait, or just realization. 30,
Came out
like
to me. I came out
that's
to me.
wild.
This is the story that needs to be at the center
Yeah.
of your official coming out party. This is the
Yeah.
one. You found it, you're going to give a speech. So this is the speech. Thank you for practicing
Lord,
it with us.
you never see Black women, and how do you, how? I did a sociological experiment because I'm, a political scientist. I said, I need to understand this. I need to understand. And my friends was like, nah, Jen, we don't do gay shit. And I was like, that's nuts. They said, we're
You're like, when
straight.
you say gay though, what do you mean?
Right.
They're like, the gay
Like,
shit.
oh, you're straight. And they're like, girl, we've been saying this. That's what straight is. And I was like, oh, I thought straight always had I don't believe in straight. I think
Like
it's
an
all on a
asterisk.
spectrum.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't believe in straight. Just like I don't believe in monogamy. So I was like, oh, you really mean that? Bless your heart. Couldn't be me. So
You were like, this whole time I thought it was a joke. Straight gay.
I was like, oh,
Like, okay, me
we're
too.
straight.
Me too.
Not you
It's like,
didn't
no.
believe your
Wild
friends for all
straight.
these years, did not believe them. You were like, right, straight. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. No, Carmen Esposito watching it literally. She was like my best friend. I said, why she keep doing that? He was like, think about it. Just
You know
think
what?
about it. No.
Shout out to Darren.
Right.
For just letting you go on that journey as well. Was just sitting there like, I'll wait. That's
Right.
little Darren on the couch was, I'll wait.
Teachable moment.
Yes.
I
We're growing
kid you not.
together.
All these degrees couldn't figure it out. Figure it out.
That that's funny, but
Nope.
that's also amazing though. The what a run. What a run in the closet. What a run for you. Like that is a Michael Jordan like run. Like that's crazy.
Mm.
Jordan's
Jordan's
in
in
church,
church.
first off. Jordan's
You
in church.
Mm.
y'all know the Bay Area. It's very gay. It's just very gay. And so I thought we was doing what I thought house was played like that. It was always a bunch of girls up in there. I was like, the girls be playing house, right? I just thought that's what you did. And we never in the Bay Area, I feel like I'm so blessed by this because race and gender and sexuality were always a little bit more flexible. They weren't as rigid. So even though we were church folk, like who was playing the tambourine? It was somebody super gay. Like we had trans folks in church. Like we had in my family queer and trans folks. It was never like I had to like go watch TV to discover, the expansiveness of what gender and sexuality could be. And so when I started meeting these people who had moved in those binaries and in those very specific kind of boxes, I didn't even know how to fit in them. I was like, oh, I'm not straight, but I guess if we gotta pick something, I guess I'm gay. Like I had never had to say, right? It's like people would clock me in the Bay Area, and it was like you got clocked, and then now we're clocked. Everybody clocked, right? It was never, I don't know. I guess I just listen. Oakland.
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 That is it. That's the
That really
statement.
is.
So then back in your college days,
Hmm.
and you saw Darren, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. I saw Darren and
I said that's a square ass nigga, and I don't want nothing to do with him. Uh, I was not fucking with him. I when I got to college at USC, what I wore on the first day of school was a Echo Unlimited tracksuit and Jordans, and I had singles in my hair, and they were blue. Like I was not doing anything for the male gaze. This was not,
It wasn't even Echo Red. It was Echo.
it was Echo. It was from the men's
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And love that you noticed that.
Listen, Echo Red. Echo.
look, if there's one thing Kris is going to do, it's pay attention to detail.
I was there.
Like Kris knows.
I had to.
So
I had to wear the Echo Red because I, couldn't wear Jordans in church. Yeah, the Echo Red.
I think, and so when I met him, I was not at all. We were best friends. We were best friends. I looked at him and I clocked him. So I thought he was one of us. I said, "Oh, are you gay? Like what?" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "You're ace." And he was like, "What's that?" I said, "We'll talk about that later. Let's just be friends for now. I got you." Right. And so I saw him as like one of the queers. And so we became friends. He had a big booty and thick thighs and was dropping it like it was hot. I don't really care who got the big booty and the thick
Come
thighs.
on,
If I
big
see a
booty
big,
family.
listen,
Love this.
and I love a short king. Listen, Kendrick came out in them jeans, y'all, at the Super
Listen,
Bowl.
And did.
I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. I just watched the playbacks and I was like, okay, so I like a short king. Anyway, different conversation. But so I met Darren, and I was like, he's a square, super square from Orange County, California, Anaheim. He looked like his parents had money. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he got in there like on some real shit.
Yeah,
Like
he really.
I was like, who was drunk? Like he got in and he expected it. You know what I'm saying? So we different. So, I was not immediately drawn to him in any way. We were not attracted to each other. And so we hung out and we played video games together. Like it's real nerdy shit. We played Smash Bros. We played Halo. I'm a gamer. I love games. I play Dungeons and Dragons. Like I was doing boy shit. And we went to classes together. We went to every class together. We ate food together, and we became best friends. I mean, best friends to the point where we would fall asleep in the bed watching a movie together. And so people on our floor, they was like, "Oh, y'all definitely fucking." And I was like, "Ew." Like I saw him like a Ken doll. Like I didn't want to know what was in there. I didn't want to know what was down there. I was like, "I'm good, right?" Um, but then one day I looked at him, I said, "Oh, nah, I don't know." I said, "Oh, I think I like this boy. Oh, dear God." And it was very frustrating because for me, I was gay, right? I was like, I'm gay. Like, I'm a queer person. And I was very confused. Like, I made him grow his hair out and I cornrowed it. I put an S curl in his hair at one point. I was trying to make him hood. I got his ear pierced.
Trust me,
Like, I
trust
was
me,
like,
trust me. I got you. I got
I
you.
was like, you want some tattoos or something? This is not Oakland. I can't bring you home like this. Um, and I brought him home. I'll never forget my auntie on her face. She looked at him. She said, we had church. She said, huh, that's, this is exciting. This is a surprise. I said, Auntie Donna, what you trying to say? She was like, well, we just didn't. This is not what I expected. You thought I was gonna bring home a white girl? Yes. I thought she was gonna bring home a white girl. I said, she's so mean. Everybody thought I was gonna bring home a white girl. So we fell in love, like the good old fashioned, this is my best friend. We eat ice cream and watch Alias reruns together.
Oh,
Like you look up one day and you're like, I can't live without this person. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't matter to me what his gender or sexuality was. He eventually understood himself as asexual over years and years and years together. But there was a time where we were sexually attracted to each other, and that's how we made some kids. So thank God for that, because I love my children. I just never knew I would ever have any. I have a heart condition. I was told I would never have kids. So this is all to me a bonus, right? Of finding this person who, for me, feels like bone marrow. I wake up and I feel tethered to this person. It's like when they say your heart outside your body is like your children, but I also feel this deep connection with him. And so, he's my best friend. He is my best friend and my closest confidant and has been with me in the darkest times in my life and has helped me through all type. I have disabilities. He's been there for every heart condition issue, every flare up. I've almost died from meningitis while pregnant with my child. Like he has been there. And so our relationship and our connection tr- transcends all of those buckets, categories, binaries, and like kind of modern understandings of how relationships are supposed to work, or specifically for queer people. He is a queer man. I am a queer human, and it works. Our children are happy. They love us. We love them. We have a beautiful household and a family, and we think very expansively and abundantly about what that can look like. So, yeah, I met him, and
beautiful.
I don't know how the hell. Listen, couldn't have written this. This was not. I thought I was going to marry a woman, and she was going to have kids. That was in my
Hmm.
mind how that was going to happen, and it just happened a different way.
How did parenthood change your relationship? And then as a parent now, like how any advice for raising children in this atmosphere? Like I try to hold on to hope and shield the world from my son, but the world is the world and
Yeah.
I want him to have as much information as possible too.
I was low key stalking you online and looking at your family, and they're.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
I mean, I don't have a lot
I'm a
of
little bit. It's a
stalkers,
little bit
so
of not
yeah.
a lot.
So yeah.
Small stuff.
Oh, okay.
But you know, um, my children are like the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. My daughter calls me a narcissist because sh- she's like, "Well, we're just versions of you and daddy," and I'm like, "Well, but y'all kind of dope anyway." Like, still though. But I think that for me, having these Black kids in this world where I had already experienced what it was like to feel every day like there were just invisible forces and some very visible and overt trying to snuff me out. It activated something in me where I'm like, I will do whatever I have to do to ensure that these children grow up to have the life they deserve, right? That they will not be beholden to whatever I've experienced or their grandmother experienced. They're not responsible for the baggage and burdens of the world. This is not their fault, and I will never allow them to move in a way where they have to feel like it is. And I think it changed me a lot because it forced me to grow up, right? It forced me to really confront the things from childhood Jen that I still wasn't ready to necessarily face and work on. Like kids will check you, right? They're like they'll mirror stuff to you and be like, "Well, you said the other day that," and you can't say nothing because you're like, "You right,
Got
right."
me. You got me.
And I have a Capricorn, Virgo, and a Libra, right? And
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and my co-parent is a Taurus, so it's a very spicy. It's a spicy
It's a
household, right?
spicy house.
Yeah, and I welcome it because I'm so grateful that I am accountable, right? I'm so grateful to be a person who can sit in a family and a unit, a community here where everyone belongs to themselves. My spouse belongs to himself, right? Like I'm poly, he's monogamous, but I'm like, every day I'm like, hey, let's just check in on this. Like, do you want go out there and experience some things, right? Like, what do any booty's looking good today? Can I find one for you? You want me to go check, right? Like, I'm all about that for everyone, right? And like even with my kids and like exploring gender, and I let them know every day, like I support you if you are straight. Like I will love you anyway. However and so ever. If you decide, hey mommy, I'm a drag queen. Like, hey mommy, I'm a drag king. Like, I won't love you necessarily more, but you know, you know what I'm
A little
saying?
cooler, you know,
You know,
just a little
you a
cooler,
drag,
Love
Oh
you
my
all,
do you,
gosh.
but
do you want
you know,
to get Ulta? Like, do you
we
what do
can't
you
all be cool, but some of us
like
are.
help you, right? So I just let them know every day, like, however they choose to show up in the world is beautiful to me. I just am so grateful for them, and their breath and for their life, And so I think that parenting, when done with intention and with the desire to really like do something radical in the world, black parenting is so important. Like we have such an important
Yeah.
role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it goes back to my Black feminist ethos, it's like that to me is what Black feminism is about. It's about the preservation of Black life. And where does that start? It's in childhood, right? And so their imaginations, like that's so important to me that they believe in themselves. But I can't teach them that if I don't feel those ways about myself. So it's been really important, I think, for me to sit and go, okay, I can't be out here selling wolf tickets to my kids if I'm not going to do the work, internally. So I think it's been a beautiful journey because I'm growing, alongside my babies.
It's amazing.
It's the I won't love you any less if you're straight for me is the conversation.
No less,
No
just
less.
differently. Ain't that what they tell us?
It's differently, yes,
If you're gay, I still love you. It's just
differently,
different. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. But I feel that about if you straight.
Okay.
Just I have one rule. One rule. You can love, I don't care their gender. They just can't be white.
Mm,
I
oh,
said
those
what
kids. I think they're off to a good start.
I said what I said.
This
You could
is
also, but that's actually
parenting on
very
another
important though,
level.
because again, obviously, jokes aside, they could be culturally white and it'd be like, all right. Like I have cousins that are like, Jesus Christ. And you saw where the turn was going because we grow up with them, but it's like, yeah, they're lost. They're lost. It could very much happen. So we joke, but it's like, no, for real
Yeah,
though. Jen, let's get into the book.
yeah.
Black Women Taught Us an Intimate History of Black Feminism. So one of the questions that popped up that I had while just reading this is how long did it take? Is this like something that you feel like you've been writing your whole life? And like, yeah, what's the background that leading up to this book?
Yeah, I mean it's both of those things, yes, right?
Mm.
So I actually this conversation is really, I think, revealing a lot of the ways that for many of us we're not encouraged to move fully authentically in ourselves, and that can lead to whole all different things, including for me it was writing, right? As a child, I was always writing, I always had ideas, but it took someone else coming to me and saying, "Hey, you might have a book in you," for me to go, "Oh, is that something I'm allowed to do?" Right? And so it was 2018 where I met with a publisher, and she was like, I had been writing for Teen Vogue, I had been writing for Washington Post and Essence and Ebony and The Root, all these places where clearly, if you're a writer, that's where you're writing. And she was like, "Yeah, I've been following your writing, and I think you should think about writing a book." And I was like, I was like, "Me?" And she was like, "Are you okay? Like you've written thousands and thousands of words." But it was one of the first times anyone had ever come to me and said, "You're a writer. Like you should think about what this looks like as something you do like all the time." And 2018 we had the conversation. By 2020 I had a book deal. And that was this book. And the road to getting there was me really having to sit with myself and get clear about like, yeah, you're a writer, you're a creative person, you have this is a talent that you have. And I went through all these book drafts, and the first book was not good. I had a white woman as an agent, and she wanted me to write this book for white ladies called an inconvenient Black girl.
Oh no.
Um,
Oh. Oh wow.
yeah.
It's like the opposite of this book.
And she was probably
So
so proud
she's
of
not
that.
my,
Yeah.
So proud of that when
yeah,
she came up. She
we're
was like,
not,
"Oh,
She's like, Jen,
we don't work together
how
anymore.
about this? That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so I had to sit and work through the publishing industry and the ways that they would want to frame me. And I had to really get comfortable myself. So there was healing work that had to happen during this time. And so I got with this publisher. My publisher was like, "Hey, I don't want you to write that book. What do you feel passionate about?" And I was like, Black women. I feel passionate about Black women. I feel passionate about my mother. I feel passionate about this course that I teach at Syracuse University. I had just gotten my job. And I was like, I teach a Black feminist politics class, and it's so meaningful to me because I've never taken a Black feminist politics class. Like I would go to these elite universities and there'd be nobody to teach this class. And I remember thinking like, dang, when I finally get to teach, I'm going to teach, this class. And so this book is actually based directly on the syllabus for a course that I teach right now. And I've taught for the last 6 years at Syracuse University. The only parts that are different are the parts about my mother and about my childhood and growing up in church and what it felt like to be this gender flux person who didn't feel like a girl but had to wear these fluffy dresses and like painful shoes and tight ass stockings, right? Like going through this process of working through understanding myself as a writer, the mourning of the versions of myself who didn't know it, and coming into this fullness of myself had to go alongside the telling of these stories, right? Like for me to tell the story of Black feminism, you have to make it real for people, right? You have to make it part of the material world. And what's more real than me having this Black girlhood that was conflicted by disability and different heightedness, this different body, moving in this space that wanted me to be hyper masculine sometimes and hyper feminine other times. Like I felt like bringing in my own experiences and my deep love for my mother and my grandmothers and my community would really help to show how the Ida B. Wells the Harriet Jacobs the Audre Lordes and the Bell Hookses have been present in our lives all along, right? Like my auntie Barbara is just as significant to me as Bell Hooks. My auntie Deborah, right? My auntie Debbie. We all got two aunties with the same name. You got to say one different so we know which one it is, right? Like those aunties, right? I
Aunt
just
Pat.
right. Pat and Patty. I got that, right? And I just like I wanted to not just write another academic book where we're like talking about these iconic people who have also been lost to history, but that we help folks understand that the folks who are still here, right, who right here in this conversation, right, the communities that we build are just as critical to what we call Black feminism and to building a freer world. We're all doing it all the time. And if we don't recognize it and honor it, we'll be lost to history too, right? That's why I put people in like my best friend. It's a random conversation in grad school where me and my best friend was singing I'm in the Shallow, that song Shallow. We used to sing some white people songs because she half white. So I sing the stuff that aligns with her innermost being. And sometimes it's Taylor Swift. So anyway, but we were singing Shallow and then people was wearing these safety pins. And I was like, Jordy, what's that supposed to mean? And we had this whole conversation, right, about how as Black women, it's so hard to keep watching folks who call themselves allies engaging in these symbolic forms of protection and engagement where they actually don't have to do anything. They have no skin in the game. And that's in my book, right? Because that conversation was so critical for me at that moment when I was trying to understand what is my problem with allyship? Why does it feel so empty? Right? There are conversations where we learn from each other every single day and we have to archive them, right? We have to believe that they are worth something Otherwise, like, what are we actually doing?
Are there
In each chapter,
sections?
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I know you're excited. I'm excited. We're all excited. In certain sections, I feel like, especially with the conversation today, it's like I want to root for the children. I do. I really do. I really do. But something tells me that you have gotten some like interesting, if not out of pocket questions as they've been in your class reviewing this book. Are there any that stick out to you?
You know, the only question that has actually irritated me, and I'm not gonna let it go, came from this young man. And he stood up after I gave probably one of the best keynotes of my life. I will say, probably one of the best. Everybody in the room was in awe. They were just like, "Oh my gosh. Oh, who is this? Who is this African American?" Right? And he stood up, shot his arm up. He had to be the first one because masculinity, and was like, "I just want to know, are there any black men in the book?"
Sir,
All right, that's about the question I think he would ask.
sir.
And the thing is, right, I'm 40 now, right? So I don't give a fuck, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna drag you. How do I want to do this? Right? And so I was like, well, this book is about Black women and how they resist oppression. Um, what you're looking for is not this book, right? Because why did you come to a presentation called Black Women Taught Us Looking for Black Men? Why?
He didn't read the description.
Why'd you
Missed
do
that.
Yeah,
that?
Missed it.
it was
He was like,
unclear.
I thought I was at the seminar
So we're
next
clear.
door that was happening.
And I'll be honest with you, no, nobody has ever tried me besides this young man. That's the only, and what I loved about that night was there was a raffle, and I reached into the hat and I pulled out, guess whose name first? This young man. So now he
Same,
can read the
of course.
damn book.
Well, it kind of
Because
worked.
what
You
did you
needed to
think?
read it.
So that's the only one though. Just him. Just him.
What a question.
Sir.
And it's like it's part troll where it's just like why you asking this and you like why are you doing this?
Please go
So
home.
yeah, having to decide like
Right.
how exactly
What are you,
do I get the
what are
fuck
you
out of here?
doing? Like who that's to me, that's what the internet troll does.
Yeah.
Why are you
Yes.
coming in real life being an internet troll? It's weird. It's weird.
No.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was like it must have been one of those things where they were like, you want to try that offline? And he was like, well, I'll try it.
I'm gonna
I'll
try
try
it.
it offline
He
because
said,
that
bet,
is
bet.
absolutely an internet
Hold my
troll.
beer. Yeah, no.
So each chapter highlights a Black feminist who shaped your understanding in a profound way. Is there a particular chapter that was either more challenging to write or just more personal?
What you think? I feel like you know which chapter was challenging, more personal.
I don't know. I can't call it. I have my favorite is Ella Baker. I have an Ella Baker question, but yeah, what
The
chapter?
most difficult chapter was chapter 11. It's the bell hooks chapter.
Okay.
Because when I first drafted the book, I did not have a bell hooks chapter in the book. And I wrote this whole book that was like, we have to honor Black women, we have to archive Black women's lives, we have to engage with Black women, and I had left out bell hooks. And I had rationalized in my mind why that made sense. And then she died. And she died after I had submitted the draft of the book. And I felt gutted. I could not abide it. I felt awful. I felt awful because I was like, wow, I am such a hypocrite. I'm such a hypocrite. That same year, my grandmother, who was my North Star, had passed away, and a dear friend of mine, Lauren Berlant, passed away. And so I had these folks who passed away, and for each of them, I felt a feeling of regret, like I had not really shown up and loved them in the way that I should. And when I tell you, like, that chapter, it took me 3 months to write that chapter,
Mm.
and I sobbed the whole time. I cried the entire time I wrote it because I realized I felt bad. I felt like a loser, right? Like it's
Mm,
like I wrote this whole book about loving Black women, and then I was really bad at it by my own standard, you know? And now I would never be able to tell my grandmother anything about that again or tell her how much I loved her again. And I'd never be able to respond to that email from Lauren. And I'd never be able to honor Bell Hooks in the way I should have. And so I wrote the chapter kind of as an apology to say, I'm not perfect. Like I'm not the best at this loving thing. I'm doing the best I can every day, but I fuck up too, right? And even when I recorded that chapter and for the audiobook, like that was the one place where they was like, you gotta go home.
mm.
You can't keep slobbering and snot all over our microphone. You got to get the hell up out of here. Cause I was like crying in the recording. It's Pisces moon. So yeah, that chapter is probably the one that I still even like I read it back to myself now because it's like I wrote it in my diary and I still have to go, oh shit, like people in the world can read this, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do have a, I guess, topical Ella Baker question because Ella Baker believed in youth-led, group-centered leadership, which feels more urgent than ever. Um, but like, how are ways or what lessons from Ella Baker's approach are most critical today to ensure like young activists can
Mm,
lead on their own terms without being co-opted, silenced, pressured? Like that felt, I mean, all of the chapters felt timely, but definitely that one, I guess politically, with like,
yeah.
in my perspective, because there's a lot that
Yeah. Well,
last.
two things in particular I think stand out for me from Ella Baker in this moment. And one is for like the young people, and that's her deep insistence that they trust that they are the experts in their experiences. I meet young people every day as an instructor, professor, who I have to tell them, hey, like, you know, you are a living archive, right? Your experiences matter. How you engage with the world, that's a thing. That's political. And I want you to see yourself as an inherently political subject. These are young, black, brown, queer, trans, immigrant folk who I have to remind, like, yes, your experiences are unique to you, right? When they tell me, yeah, my parents are from, this country in Africa, and they have these very strict ideas about gender, and that's colored my orientation to blackness and black feminism. I'm like, this is important. And I want you to understand that even though it's your personal experiences, you're a part of an aggregate community, right? This is how we study social science. And so I want young people in this moment to not believe the hype, right? There's this hype that young people are ambivalent and that they have nothing to say and that they're not engaged. And it's just not true. It's not true. I went around the country for 3 years interviewing young people. I talked to 100 young people all across the country for my second book. And I got so much data, so much information about how they want to see the world and how they envision an abolitionist society, like some beautiful visions for the world. And I just want them to trust themselves. The other one is Ella Baker didn't play about rest. There's a reason why she was an octogenarian, right? A lot of our freedom fighters don't make it into their 80s. A lot of them only make it into their 50s if they're lucky. And she made it into old age in part because she had really healthy boundaries, really healthy boundaries. I tell people all the time that one of the hardest things about writing the book was realizing how many of these women lived very sad, destitute lives at the end
Yeah.
of their lives, and that they weren't able to really uh, enjoy the fruits of their labor in that way. And so I really want folks in this moment, not just the young people, but everyone, all of us, especially the Black, brown, queer folks, to understand that we have to save something for ourselves. We have to center our health and our bodies. It's so easy to be like, yeah, I haven't been to the doctor in 2 years. Yeah, I haven't had my teeth checked in 3 years, right? Like, I want us to stop doing that, right? If we have access and ability, I want us to actually listen to our bodies. I say this as somebody who was hospitalized last year and a year ago, actually this month. Um, an emergency hospitalization, and it knocked my whole book tour off track and really like put a lot of things in focus for me as a disabled person who was not taking care of myself, right? There's nobody I can fight for here if I'm not alive, right? My child, who is a 17-year-old Capricorn who refuses to show emotion, came in that hospital room. He said, "Hey, don't die."
It's very Capricorn.
And I was like,
It's very Capricorn.
he's concerned. He's
Right.
concerned.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, don't you? It's very it's Capricorn concern. Hey,
You know what? I said, you know what? I gotta get this shit together. I got too much at stake here. And we do. We all have too much at stake here. And I just want us to really think about, our bodies as a part of this work that we do, right? I will never forget my best friend telling me, I said, I love Black people and I'm gonna do this work. And she said, hey, 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 are you Black people? I need you to love yourself the same way you're loving everybody else. And I have to keep that in mind all the time, every day.
Are you Black people?
Are you Black? No,
Okay.
Like, are you?
And that's that reminder.
No.
All right. Before we head over to our bad queer opinion, wrap up this section, I feel like that's a perfect shift to be like taking care of yourself, looking into different things. What do you love to celebrate about all of your different identities? I was like, being lesbian, polyamorous, a parent, professor, Black as fuck. Like, there's so many umbrellas that you work amongst that are all beautifully connected. What do you love to celebrate?
It's interesting. Like the professor stuff, I really don't pay that much attention to. It's really interesting. Like I tell people all the time, the PhD stuff is my day job. Like that's absolutely my day job. The stuff that I celebrate most, the things that make me feel the fullest and the most alive is like spaces like this and being around other Black and queer people, especially other AFAB folks who have navigated kind of the tightrope of being in this kind of queer body where it's like, am I masculine? Am I feminine? What's my gender? I don't know, right? Um, as I've gotten older, I felt so much safety and comfort in those spaces and being, especially like Black feminist organizing spaces and dreaming up a new world, right? Like the professor work to me is so rewarding. It's so deeply rewarding. I feel really blessed and honored that I get to go into a classroom and teach people, right? I'm like, oh, I get to tell y'all radical shit so y'all can go like turn up. Like this is incredible, right? But I think that it's honestly just an extension of the community that I hope to build with the larger world, right? Like my students are my people. My students are my community. I keep connections with my students. A lot of my students go on to grad school and, they go and they work in nonprofits or some of them come back and work with me, right? These are my people, right? And so I think what I celebrate is building community with other Black and queer and gender expansive and trans folk and working class folk. Because that's a very specific experience, especially when folks are from different parts of the country and we come together and we realize we all had the same bowls growing up. Or like, that one bowl is kind of tan and got that brown line and that thinner brown line. Like we all got the same measuring cups and stuff. I'm like, we
comforter.
all so Black.
Right. The comforter.
Comforter. Y'all know what comforter I'm talking about. That same comforter.
I see it right now. You know what I'm saying?
The numbers.
I love that experience of being in community with other Black. That's church to me, right? Like that's religion to me. And I'm just so grateful that I get to do that,
Jenn, before we go, what are your like guilty pleasures or like, mindless joys and shows that you watch to like unwind and just like talk shit and
okay. So I knew you was gonna ask me.
Yeah, not being prepared.
Number one, She Daddies. Can we talk about it?
Hoochie Daddies. Are you so?
Did you get to season 2?
You continued on, like you're on like season 2. Okay,
I watched the outtakes. I watched the TikTok.
All of it.
I watched the casting specials. I watched the spinoffs.
Not spinoffs. What? Where are the spinoffs?
On YouTube.
That's hilarious.
I'm gonna need these links afterwards.
Subscribe.
I'm gonna need these links.
I love it. Listen, as a queer person, I'm like, we need to have our stuff too. So listen, okay, so there's that.
Gucci daddies. All right.
Number two. So this is not a TV show, but y'all, like I said, I'm a gamer and my kids are all gamers. And my daughter has me addicted to this game called Dress to Impress. Have y'all seen this game?
I've heard of it.
No,
Yes.
what is that?
Yes.
It's really bad, but I love it so much. It's like you're basically a blank doll, and then you put colors on your body so that you can be black or like green if you
Oh,
were alien or
Okay.
something. And
Hmm.
then you put makeup on and your hair. Y'all, it's really bad, but it's like I'm living out all of my childhood girl fantasies with my child.
you know,
Play a house again.
right.
Oh.
Like it's giving Sims. It's giving
Yeah,
that.
I
So
know.
it's
I was
like,
like, that
yeah,
sounds
and
like
that's
The
an
Sims.
addictive
Yeah.
game.
It was.
And then you go on stage and you compete to see whose dress is as impressive.
Oh, okay. It's competition.
Okay, come
And
on.
you get stars and stuff, and you win outfits. It's
Come on, America's Next Top Model spinoff.
I
That's
know.
what this is.
Took a turn.
actually it's not like RuPaul's Drag Race because they added a finale where you can go into a competition. Y'all, I don't want this. Listen, I'm embarrassed enough. We
Look,
don't
the
have to keep going.
details. I'm here for all of the details.
That-
You share,
You got to give us the
you
third.
continue and do
Give
the
us your
thing.
top
It's great.
three. What's the third?
The third is I don't do a lot of TV shows, but I'm gonna put these two. There's two of them in number
Okay.
three. Okay, so I want you to understand I was not always a lesbian. There was a time when I was interested in boys. Okay, and so I Cross. Have y'all seen Cross
I've watched Cross on Prime Video
on
with
Netflix?
oh boy.
On Netflix?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's got Aldous Hodge on there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a beautiful man.
Great
So
looking guy.
I've rewatched it a few times.
You're
Um,
like, in case I missed something.
Right.
and the other one is, have y'all seen Rebel Ridge?
Uh-huh.
Now Rebel Bridge.
Uh-huh.
That's a good that man, that human is something.
Aaron Pierre?
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, it sits at the intersection of my favorite genre and a fine ass black person. My favorite genre is white on white crime, but he's in the also in the other. It's like the when you pop up on the white on white crime, which is black folk sunning the shit out of police officers. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's a genre that is very hard to perfect. And that movie it's just a
It is
perfect.
very good.
Me and my children watch Rebel Ridge. I want them to understand what it means for Black people to sun the police.
Yes.
You
The
know?
whole town too.
So, yeah,
Real
and
good.
it's not just because he's attractive.
No.
There's
No.
layers.
No.
Layers.
No.
Thank you. See?
But is it a problem? No.
Love it.
No. And
No.
I may watch it after this. I
Right.
don't-
I was about to
Honestly,
say that's exactly what's the next thing.
You know?
You're like, wrap up this episode. Let's go.
Right.
research. So yeah,
That's so funny.
those three.
Hoochie Daddy spinoffs.
Spin up. Who knew? Who knew? Not me.
It's funny.
Not me.
Y'all, they're bad. Just be prepared to be very offended.
I had to stop after season 1. I was like, okay, I think this is as
We
far
barely
as I
made it
go.
through.
Hey, but Kris, let me tell you something. The sound improves in season 2.
How much? On a scale?
Does everybody
On a
have
scale.
beds? Does everybody have beds?
Yes, everyone has beds.
In
they
rooms?
Okay.
Have a production crew. Everyone has rooms. Production crew, actual catering.
Wow.
Wow.
That budget went
Wow.
up.
Do they have to get tattoos in
So
season
the
2?
tattoos they have to stay because that's one of the prizes. So
That's why I was like, all right, this what,
so you
what are the next
still win.
like it's
If you get a face tattoo, yes, that is still an incentive to win the show.
All right.
Yep.
As long as that's
But
yep.
you're like, the spinoffs are fine though. Too.
And they have more creative competitions like
So no
throw the
t-shirt.
strap. Throw the strap.
Throw the strap. See,
Throw the
that
strap.
is something that should be on Hoochie Daddies, not arts and crafts. Who can make a better shirt?
Throw the strap. And they had Carry the Femme.
That is something that should be on that show. See,
I hope that you become a producer on the show because I just woo, okay. I might peek in at season 2. I might. I just after season 1, I was like, I think I'm full.
I was like,
I
you know
think
what?
I'm full.
And when we do, we're gonna bring you back to discuss it.
hilarious.
That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have that as a discussion.
I know all the characters. I know who my favorites are. I can tell you anyway. Just
Honestly, you'll guide the conversation, and we'll just
I can interview you.
react.
You should host the reunions. Do they have reunions yet? They should if they don't, but you should.
They do.
They do.
They have a big booty. There's a big booty person who his booty bigger than mine, and he can twerk it better than me. I don't think I'll get the hosting spot.
Okay.
I can't bend my back.
Yeah,
I'll
twerk him.
I can do this twerk, when your booty's clapped like this, but I can't do this twerk when your booty goes up
when
and
it
down.
goes.
Wow.
Like
Everybody who's listening, please head to our YouTube channel so that you can get the visual of what this looks
It's important.
like.
There's a distinction between the two. Big distinction.
Big distinction. Wow. What a perfect segue into our bad queer opinions, because what type of bad queers will we be if of unpopular
Y'all are
queer
too funny. I am so excited for this.
All right, Jen, as a reminder, Kris and I will go first. You can feel free to follow up with any questions, comments, concerns, judgments. We know it's a safe space until it's not, and we're just going to have a good old conversation here. So we'll have a good time. I will go ahead and kick it off. So first off, I want to shout out the Tutus podcast. They recently talked about how women who are dating women wait to see what the other person is bringing to the table, especially more femme presenting women. They will go out and they'll be like, no, you have to give me all of the things before I give anything back. And they stated a great reminder of, well, if we're women dating women, I'm a woman too. Why are you not doing anything? And they labeled them as an I was gonna type of person. The person who comes back and said, well, I was gonna do this thing, but I need to see what you were going to do. And I've seen that with more femme folks I've dated lately as well. And I need to say that y'all need to change the narrative from the I was gonna to and I did. And I did.
Please.
And that's what I
Shine a
mean.
light on
Because
that.
I'm like, what? How are y'all coming out here being like, oh, I was going to do something, but I need to see what you were bringing for? Absolutely not. If you don't go sit down.
This actually interlocks with my queer opinion, so I feel like I should kind of hold, because I have lots of thoughts on this particular topic.
I love a carryover.
You want me
I love a carryover.
Here's what I think.
Yes.
To be honest with you. Okay. Trash dating behaviors have nothing to do with mass femme identities. And I'm really exhausted. I'm sorry, we're slipping into my opinion.
Do it.
I'm really exhausted by mask and femme becoming these subgenders where they be like, the femmes be doing blah, and the masks be doing, these are not nouns, friend. And I want us to understand that you just dating a shitty person. And maybe you're not looking for the red flags because you was too busy looking at the eyelashes or whatever you think is femme. I'm sorry. I digress. But yes, I dated those women too. And I don't date I don't even date femmes. I just date women. And I've dated plenty I was gonnas. So
and somebody listening
realized release the femme mask dichotomy and understand maybe it's just some trash lesbians. We all need to pick better.
Exactly that. I was like, really? The question should be, are you the I was gonna lesbian, or did you do the and I did?
But why do people not talk about what their standards are and their boundaries are before they even go on dates? Or just have a conversation? Why do people not?
I don't think people know how to date for real. I don't think people know how to date. I think they
especially
watch a lot of TV, a lot of movies, a lot of, and then whatever they saw interpersonal, like hopefully you had a parent that was affectionate. Like my parents were married 20-something years and they weren't and all that until we had a party. So I saw them actually perform and I was like, oh, so at a very early age, I was like, got it. So I think, and I've said this in the past to my wife, that femmes don't know how to date. Or be romantic, because usually they're the ones receiving all of this. And I think that there could be some validity to that in the same ways that I think masks obviously take the toxic things that they learn from cis men and romance and, bring that over. But yeah, I think just in general, and like you said, like we shouldn't even assign it to mask and femme, but I just think that people overall really actually don't know how to date because we don't know how to communicate. And, I just know as a person who's dated femme identified people, it's like they're always going to look for what you can give them.
Wow.
So, or not always, but in a lot of cases, I think it's come a longer way. But I think that they also are kind of socialized to be like, well, what can I get? Kind of thing. It's like this dance of like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, and then when you're in some cases competing against other, mask for somebody's affection, it is like, yeah, that femme is like, what can I get out of
Y'all
this?
are also monogamous. They were talking about monogamous
Yeah.
people
Yeah. Yeah.
competing. I said, oh, this is a
Yeah. You're like competing.
You said, wait a minute, there's a layer here.
Right, I know, yeah.
And
So,
I don't, I'm a gender flux person. So, I put on some makeup for y'all because I wanted to be cute for y'all. But on an average day, I don't look like this, right? I look like your fun queer professor with the glasses that are like entirely too big and like do the lesbian things, right? And so I think what's been hard for me with the femme mass binary is that I don't fall into any of them. I'm also 6'4". I have almost all Jordans. And like, where do I go?
sponsor.
Right. And
Get,
so,
get that partnership.
yeah. And I also, listen, speak it into existence.
Okay, get that partnership.
No, for real.
Uh,
I could see the Jordans in Church commercial. It's gonna be
Okay.
great. Yeah.
I also think, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. But in my experience, it hasn't, I guess because I don't quite fem math doesn't work in my brain for me. I think what I've experienced is that when I've dated women who had long-term relationships with cishet men or who had been in these kind of dynamics where that was their primary socialization around dating, they were absolutely like that because they were socialized that the man does blank and they would wait for me to open their door and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not a dude. Like we're both girls, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Open
so
the door. Stop playing.
yeah, and I think for me I've always associated that with like, oh, this is a person who is used to the ways that men are socialized, and this is not a person I'm compatible with, right? And so the
Mm-hmm.
people that I've been drawn to are people who are more like me, who don't really subscribe to any type of gender role. Even my co-parent, who is a cis het person under a queer asexual identity, doesn't subscribe to gender roles. And I was always very clear, like, hey, if we're gonna build a family together, we don't do no man woman stuff. Like if things need to be cleaned or cooked, everybody got hands to clean and cook them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how my mother raised me. So I think what y'all are saying is absolutely right. Because when I've dated, this is what has been the bane of my existence. When I've dated very masculine women, they've wanted me to do those things like, listen, I have a job. I'm basically a Jamaican. Like I got hella jobs. And so I'm like, I be having my own money. So when the check come, I'd be like, here you go. And they get mad. And I'm like, what's happening? This is confusing.
Right.
Right? Because I don't understand that they want me to, submit. I've had masculine women say, I'm not gonna let you do that. And I'm like, that's
Oh, it was the giggle
hilarious.
for
That's
me.
Right.
The giggle would have set me
Or
like as
piss.
soon as you're like,
Yeah, I know. I was like,
I was like,
that giggle pissed
I'm
them
out.
the fuck off.
I'm out.
The giggle.
But I see what y'all are saying. I think that's why, as a polyamorous gender flex person, dating is probably so hard for me because most of the people I meet want to be in one of those two boxes, and I don't even
Yeah.
understand.
And it's
Yeah.
like finding that person that's very set in themselves and confident in the ways they move rather than having to stick with those stereotypes and have been able to put in the work to be able to understand like where those binaries are
And
so
listen,
limiting. So
I
limiting.
it's hard. I'm tall and I look like a girl, but it's a nigga in here. And that's confusing for people. I had an ex, super masculine, tattoos up to here. Like if you don't look close enough, you think it's a dude. And she got mad because she said I would hug her and her feet would come off the ground. Ma'am, you're 5'3". I don't know. I'm 6'4". I'm a basketball player. Look at my hands. What you want from me?
Oh my God. Don't pick me up. They were like, don't you pick me up.
Listen, I love throwing a dart. Listen, I told y'all like I'm short. I want to pick him up. I want to stick you on a wall. It's fun.
Oh God, that
Why would
is
I be
so
this tall
funny.
and not utilize that? That's
You're like, you're making the hug awkward. Let me just pick you up. It's just let your feet come off the ground. It's all right.
is she over here on her tippy toes doing this?
Right. And that's actually
Stop it.
worse.
Lean
Oh
in.
my God.
Lean in. We're
You're like,
gay.
you're making the hug worse.
We're gay. Like, let's just be
Okay.
fully gay here. What are we
Oh my
doing?
God.
Lean in, bitch.
Jen.
We're gay.
Jen.
Come on.
This memoir that has to be a movie. Like, but I know you gotta like honestly, because like even just learning about you, like that is so like I wish we could bottle up your like the experiences that you had, and especially it being kind of Bay Area shaped, and it could spread everywhere because it's just like I couldn't even imagine some of these things, but it's just like that was just your life, and oh the
This is
Bay,
still my life.
wow,
That was in
yeah, yeah, it's
2002.
just, this is
3 years ago.
Oh my God. Damn it, Jen.
oh shit. Yeah.
Ah, oh God.
Wow, that's funny. Mm, mm, Wow.
Ooh,
Well, my
ooh.
bad queer opinion. I guess it's kind of related to all this. I certainly can't top this. Like, I just
I'm like, good luck.
don't know
Good luck.
what. No. We didn't get to talk about this because we've been off. But did y'all see the Dejanay Carrington, Angel Reese
I almost made that my bad queer opinion, and then I decided to
interview?
pivot. Welcome,
No.
welcome to the sports.
Yeah, welcome to Sports Gen. That and then also Natasha Cloud. These are WNBA players that and Natasha Cloud mentioning her relationship with Isabel Harrison. Well, just to catch you up, Dejanay Carrington is in a same gender relationship with another WNBA player, and that has been just I feel like they've been kind of an it couple all this season. But on Angel Reese's podcast, when Angel asked her about like her sexual orientation and everything, she's just one of those girls that said that no, I don't like girls, I'm not into girls, I'm just into
Oh, I
This
saw
person.
that.
yeah
I did see
yeah
this.
and and the internet went the way it did, and people were triggered by that.
So much disappointment. So much disappointment on the
Yeah, a
internet.
lot of disappointment. A lot of disappointment. I guess my bad queer opinion, and this may just because the age that I'm at is like we gotta stop projecting on these people we don't know. Y'all, we saw them together. There's projections that we put on them, and I think we thought she was gayer than she was, and probably doesn't even realize herself. But she never said that. We didn't know that until this interview. So it was kind of like, okay. I mean, I thought, for Nalissa, God bless you, good luck. And I know in a lot of these situations how these things don't turn out well at all. But I also do have a couple of friends that have been in long-term relationships. Actually, my best friend being married to someone who had that sentiment, and they've been married for 15 years. There are people that sometimes do fall in love with people of the same gender and never claim to be queer. They're not culturally queer. They don't go to no prides. They don't talk about anything, but they are committed to the person that they're committed to. So it can happen. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think we don't know Dejanay Carrington. We don't know Nalissa Smith. We don't know none of these people. And, sometimes we project. And now, we're triggered by somebody we don't even know. Like there was nothing looking back besides their relationship, which I, have my thoughts about, that would have said that she is queer or her claiming that. So I don't know. I feel like it was a lot of projections with it, but I do understand people being triggered because we do know how these things usually go. So good luck to Nalissa. Good luck.
I have never wanted our listeners to go to our YouTube channel so fast as I have in this moment of as Kris was talking. If you all follow us on Instagram and you saw that meme that I recently posted and was like, oh, I'm quiet, but my face looks like this. And it showed from Pose, it gave the face. And that was what was happening throughout that conversation. So Jen, I'm just gonna let you take the floor. Have
I
fun.
would like y'all to know, actually, I've been watching Virgo videos where we have to practice our facial expressions. So there are spaces where I am learning to lower my eyebrows and to work on it. But I decided, y'all said no filters tonight, so I
No
decided
filters.
not to do that.
No.
So here's the thing. I did see that, and I have been watching this story unfold, and I did pay attention to when they became like the it couple or whatever. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I was a athlete in high school, and I just told y'all I didn't know I was gay, so I was like 30 something. Um, what are they like in their 20s? That's normal. No shade. Like, I really I agree with you that people have to stop projecting, but I also think that there is something that is also different about when you are at that level and someone asks you overtly about your relationship and what that means for other people who are looking for representation, right? I think if she was just some random person, right, who nobody was looking up to, they're, not young girls who are wanting to be her one day, if that wasn't her life, I could understand people not projecting, but girl, this is the job now, right? Like, no shade. So I agree on both ends that we should be able to move in our bodies freely and define our sexuality based on what feels good. And at her age, I would have probably said something similar. If I'm being honest, I was not no radical raging lesbian in my 20s. I was still like, what? That's gay? No, I just like breasts. They just look good. Look at them,
That's
right?
it.
Like, I like those breasts. I would have said that. I would have absolutely said that, right? And, because we don't know any better. And a lot of us are not socialized in households where that's okay, right? So that's a real thing. But I also think that she should have a team of people around her that can help her to like figure out how to say these things in a way that
A
isn't
little
so
bit better.
triggering for whole groups of people, right? Because the language around being gay for someone is really triggering for a lot of us. I know for me, having been people's closet boo for a long time, that was really hard for me all through my 20s, dating women who would be gay for me and then see me on the street after they don't know me. And I'm like, that's weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's a
Yeah.
real thing. And so she can't pretend to not be aware of how that might make people feel. So it's definitely a complicated dynamic, but it's one that she has to now navigate being in the position that she's in. That's just what happens with stardom.
Well said. And, I understand the triggers of that because of having experienced that. And I also have my opinions of like how I think this is going to turn out. I guess it's like because we have, and even within the league, there's other actual queer women that claim it and are proud, where it's just like, no, I wish that she was too, but it was just like, I don't know, like
Mhm.
we did kind of project that on that girl. Like I was like, I guess it'd be different, and it would probably hurt a little bit more if I was growing up and that happened, and that's why I think it's like an age thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, now there's so many other visible, actually happy and proud queer people within that very league, where it's just like it was disappointing to hear. And like you said, her team could have smoothed that over because I was like, shout out to Angel Reese for those questions. It was great questions. But also like I was like, maybe we did we project that on this girl? Like, did we put that on this girl while she's trying to figure this out? And now that we know, like, what, how do we feel about her now? Like, are we, looking at the other again, happily queer and out athletes and people that are in relationships and championing that a little bit more? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how these things turn out.
Yeah.
I wish she did say it better,
Yeah.
but
That's
it's also like
that's her business.
that's their business. I was like, when I heard it, I was just disappointed. I was like, oh, but then I was just like, all right, well then, not like fuck her, but it's just like, all right, well, there's
Yeah.
other queer women that are out.
And I'm
Hmm.
sure in 10 years she'll say something different. That's the whole thing. Like, we grow, we evolve, and we change, and we can say that, right? We can say,
Yeah,
hey, I'm just in a relationship with somebody I really deeply love and cherish, right?
yeah,
But also, I can learn how to say that in a way that does not diminish the ways that folks come into this identity, especially in a moment like this where
Hmm.
they're trying to literally erase us, right? Like, multiple things can
yeah,
be true.
yeah. Love it. Shayna,
I
anything to say?
was like, everything has been said. Everything.
Yeah.
That was great. That was I just had to get myself together. I have not laughed till I cried on here in a minute. So thank you, Jen, for that.
So many moments.
It's all here. So yes, well, we have made it to the end of the show, but we are never going to leave you without giving shout outs to our faves. My shout out this week goes to the Podcast Salon, which is hosted by Bad Queers fam, Anna DeShawn, and it's a night of live podcasting, music, and community at varying locations that celebrate Black and or the LGBTQ plus community around Chicago. Keep an eye out. Kris and I, Bad Queers, will be coming to a podcast salon near you. So keep watching on our social media, check it out. But in the meantime, follow and support at the Cube app. Cube is spelled with a Q, and see if you can make it.
All right. My shout out is to DykeTv. I don't know if y'all are following this account on IG, but just wanted to shout them out. They're centering dykes, dolls, femmes, studs, and bullies. And Black dykes, dolls, femmes, studs, and bullies. So follow them on IG, just so we're clear. On IG at DykeTv. We'll have it in the description.
Is it my turn?
It is.
It is.
Okay, so let me get real close and cute. I'm gonna shout out Jessica Betts and Niecy Nash, not for the reasons y'all think, but because I want to be their third.
Put it in the atmosphere.
Please, y'all.
I don't know what else you thought we were thinking, because that was yeah.
Oh, I thought y'all thought I was just saying that they were a cute couple, and they are a part of it. I want to be a throuple with me in the middle.
Put that out there. Put it in manifest. Manifest it. Yes.
I want them to see this. So
yeah.
We're gonna make sure
you're like, I actually got dressed up for this. This is actually
this
is why I got dressed up. This is actually the reason. Like, y'all cool, but this is for them. Jenn, please tell everybody where they could follow you, where they could purchase the book, and also like when's the next book coming out? Because I'm excited to hear the learnings from all these young people you talk to.
Yes. So I am at Jenn M Jackson. There's 2 N's in Jenn, all over social media. Jenn M Jackson PhD. You can find me on Threads. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Instagram. I have a Substack where I have longer form content. It's called Love Notes. It's at Jenn M Jackson PhD. And the next book, so it's a lot of books coming. But the next book is called Policing Blackness. It's based on my dissertation research, thinking about the ways that young Black Americans navigate policing across the United States. That should be coming out either later this year or early next year. And then I have a fiction book coming out.
Ooh.
YA sci-fi, that's in the works. Memoir that I'm working on, and a novel in verse. So there will be more news about all of those projects in the coming months.
And I'm just going to put in my request now, since we're manifesting things. Could you write a parenting book? Do that.
I've had that request a number of times, and so that's actually on the docket. That's okay. Yeah. Oh, and you asked about where to buy books. Please always shop at Black-owned, queer-owned, women-owned bookstores, local indie bookshops. Do not buy my book from Amazon. Do not buy my book from Walmart. Please, if you can, support local bookshops.
Awesome.
We love that. Well, Jenn, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We can't wait to have you back for a Hoochie Daddy discussion and conversation. That'll be a good time. It might take a minute for Kris and I to get through it. So it's not that we're not hitting you up. It's us, not you.
I will re-watch it so I can prepare. Yeah, I'm ready.
Is season 2 worth it though? Like, is it worth it?
I told you they have a competition called Throw the Strap.
Like,
I know, but I'll go in
Kris,
and cherry pick
Jenn
just
said
that
it was
episode.
number 1. Jenn put that first. Okay, they said number 1, 10 toes down plus spinoffs.
That's true.
So,
and if Jenn said it, then it's just like, damn. Like, like, now I gotta watch it. All right.
We're in this together.
Okay. They got beds.
We're in
got catering.
They do. They have real catering. And they have like cutaways. It's really good.
It's really good.
We did a good job. Okay.
You kind of had me with the audio part. That was the thing that got me the most. I was like, I'm struggling.
Not here.
It's not an iPhone camera. They have real cameras. It's like a DSLR or whatever they call them.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
All right, Jenn. I'm gonna check it out.
We're gonna do it just for you.
Thank
you. For you. All right. Well,
Number
everybody.
one, too.
That's what was said. Okay. Number one.
Now I gotta
not the
do
two.
It. Now I gotta
okay.
Right.
My goodness. So everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. We appreciate you for being here, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
No.
It's me again. Can we talk about things? I'm sorry that I'm